Right. So today we are going to start dealing with our reflections 1 to 3. So how the plan will work, we will speak about reflection 1. We will look at what is needed for it. We will look at a sample, and I will have two students share their reflection 1. We will move on to reflection 2 and do the same thing, which will be look at what is expected in the reflection. We will have a sample and we will have two students share. After that, we take a little break and then finally move to reflection 3, where again, we will look at what is expected of you, what is a sample, and also here two reflection here two pieces of work from students present today. So if anybody would like to share their work and you're using a laptop or tablet, you could just pull it up in the meanwhile, so you have easy access if you are ready to share. And I want to thank those of you who will be sharing and thank those who shared last time, because as I said, you don't know me, you don't know anyone here, and you're willing to share in front of nearly 150 people. That is really some courage and some self-confidence that really should be noted. So let's get straight into the reflections now. So our reflections, you have 3 reflections to do. Note, you have 3 reflections. So some people make a mistake and they have one long reflection that puts everything together. That is incorrect. You will lose marks for that. You must have 3 separate reflections. Reflection 1, reflection 2, reflection 3. I know some of your teachers may call it entry 1, entry 2, entry 3. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing we're going to mark. Each reflection is worth 5 marks. That will give you a total of 15. But the 15 is divided by 3 to give a score of 5. One of the things that I want you to bear in mind as well, especially in reflection 1 and 2, a major mistake is that sometimes students, they do not mention the name of their artifact. So please, if your reflections do not have the name of the artifact, you could fix that, okay? Before it comes to CXE quite next year. So don't worry, it's next year. Some of you, it's next 2 years. So you have much time to fix this. So let's take a look at reflection 1. Now, reflection 1 is about what you learned from the 3 artifacts. Now, remember from our discussion from the very first session, we spoke about the types of artifacts you can use and what to look out for in the artifacts, so you could use so they'll be very useful for you in reflections. So that's the first thing. You are going to speak about your artifacts. What are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about how did the student think about the issue before starting the SBA. So basically, what did you know about the topic, or what did you think about this topic before even starting any research? Then you're going to speak about the 3 artifacts or pieces. What were the main ideas from each of them? So basically, it's like a little summary. And also, when you speak about each of them, you are going to speak about or mention what new knowledge did you gain from that piece, or what stood out to you, what was really interesting in terms of information. So what are the steps that we have to take? Firstly, make sure and state what you knew about the topic before starting the SBA. Do that in 1 sentence. Just a simple sentence. What did you know about this topic, or what did you want to know before starting this SBA? Because the reason is you did choose a topic because it interested you. So there obviously was a reason, or there was something you decided you wanted to know, or what you already knew, or what you want to confirm. Then step 2, for each artifact, and remember, it's for each artifact, so all three you got to talk about. You A, state your title. B, state the main idea or issue. And then C, state something new that you learned. So for each of the artifacts, you do that. You state the title, you state the main idea or issue, and then you state something new that you learned from the artifact. At this point in time, I will pause for any questions. You can type a question in the chat, or you could unmute yourself. It's up to you. Okay, so far it seems that everybody is okay. And it is true. I'm going to be honest with you. Reflection 1 is not hard to get full 5 marks. It's one of the reflections that people normally score 5 and more in. So I'm sure most of you have a clear idea what's going on. Now let's move on. Let's take a little sample. Now remember, this is a sample, so you may see some errors in it, but it is the purpose of this is to show you what you should be looking at. It's not a perfect one, but it's one that will score well. So I'll read it for you. I began researching this SBA with the thought that long-distance relationships were solely based on luck and chances. In fact, I thought it rarely occurred in real life. However, the more information I gathered, the greater the knowledge I gained. In the blog, My Space or Yours, 2 persons from different countries fell in love. The relationship worked out because one person migrated to be with the other one. This poem, My Dearest Love, is based on a relationship which occurred because one of these persons was in jail and the other on the outside was willing to wait because their feeling was so strong. This relationship is based on trust. I learned that not even being in jail can separate people who love each other. The benefits of long-distance relationship deals with how persons involved in these relationships can grow and strengthen their bonds. I learned that if people love each other, distance cannot keep them apart. That's a sample of reflection 1. So I want to point out, first thing, you see here, I began researching this SBA with the thought that long-distance relationships were solely based on luck and chances. In fact, I thought it really rarely occurred in everyday life. The student starts by telling me what did they know before. However, this is actually longer than 150 words. So you see this sentence, however, the more information I gathered, the greater the knowledge I gained. We could take out that because it's making it too long. So always remember that you must maintain your 150 word limit. Anything over that, we're not going to deal with. So good thing, this student has put what the student knew before starting this SBA. Then the student went and spoke about the 3 pieces. So the first piece, a blog, in the blog, My Space or Yours. So the student gives me the name, the type of artifact, and the title. The student goes on to say, 2 persons from different countries fell in love. The relationship worked out because one person migrated to be with the other one. I learned what the artifact is about. Very short, to the point. It is clear that that is what the artifact is about. This poem, My Dearest Love, so you see, we know it's a poem, we know the title, is based on a relationship which occurred because one of the persons was in jail and the person on the outside was willing to wait because their feeling is so strong. This relationship is based on trust. I learned that not even being in jail can separate people who love each other. So you see how the student gave me what was the artifact about and then went and tell me what did they learn? That's a very good response. Continue now, same reflection. The benefits of long distance relationships. So we got the title, but we didn't get the type of artifact. So what you should do, you should try to mention the type of artifact. So we don't know if this is a article, if it's a speech, whatever it is, we don't know. So the benefits of the long distance relationship deals with how persons involved in these relationships can grow and strengthen their bonds. I learned that if people love each other, distance cannot keep them apart. Now that is good. One thing I would like to see in this, besides the person mentioning the type of artifact, they said it deals with how persons involved in these relationships can grow and strengthen their bonds. They should give me at least one or two ways the article mentioned. At least one or two. So, but I realize here the student did not do that because they were going too much over the 150 words. Right? So this is a sample of what would be a good one. Ms. Ramsahal, would you like to, comment on how much marks you would give this?
Hassan, can you go back to the first part?
Sure.
Let me just review it again. Yeah.
Ms. Alexander, same thing. I'll just scroll along for both of you.
Right. If Anand is ready, we can go to the next
Sure.
section.
Ms. Alexander, could I continue?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Is this not a little beyond the word limit, as you said, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Right.
It went.
So that's what I was trying to determine where the
Yes, it did go over
where
the
the
word limit.
it ends. Yes.
So the word limit will
Yes.
actually end in the last, like the first sentence here.
Oh, okay. Well, not bad. Not bad.
No.
So what would happen here, students, is that my colleagues here pointed out something very good. We all agree this is a nice response, but you see that word limit? You see how they're asking where the word limit ended? Because that's the default for us markers. We look for the word limit, we stop right there. So in this case, the word limit actually stopped in the first sentence here. So this would get something more like 4, more
Yeah.
around 4. It would not get full marks because of the word limit.
And as you pointed out, there are some sentences that could be removed to just ensure that that last sentence, which is crucial, makes it into the 50 weeks.
But then what?
Yes.
What I saw is that they didn't spend they how much they commented on each reflection as staggered.
Yeah.
So they talked about more in one place and then
That is correct.
then
They
less
spoke
in
a lot
another
about,
one.
yes. So students, note that comment from Miss. Don't write too much about one and write less about the others, else you'll go over the word limit. Trevor, very good question. In Trevor's reflection, he is putting what he learned at the end together instead of right after the artifact. Now, Trevor, that's okay if your teacher told you to do that. That is simply an organizational feature. All right, that's not a problem. Once your information is there, you will get the mark, and once you are within the word limit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to comment and say. But I actually recommend to my students to comment say what they learn after each piece in
Yes,
case they go over. It's
that's
not
true.
going, they're not going to lose marks. So at least we would know that you actually learned something from at least two of the pieces.
Yes, that
But the
is
key
true.
is not to go over the word limit at all.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss. So, any questions before we go to have some students sharing now?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, I have two questions. My first question is it a requirement to put the type of artifact?
No, it is not. It just makes it flow better and it makes for a better reflection overall. Because remember, our reflections are marked as a whole. It's not as like you have when we looked at the plan of investigation, you get in 2 marks for saying this, 3 marks for saying this. The 5 marks is a whole 5 marks. It's not broken down into 2 by 2 by 1.
Okay, thank you. My second question was, do all of the pieces need to outline what was learned?
Yes. If you only have two and the word limit is reached, you will kind of be given an allowance for that. But you should have for all.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Regarding the question about structural strategies, we'll come to that when we talk about reflection two. So can you please repost that when we are at reflection two so we won't forget it? Thanks for the question there. Anything else before we have some people volunteer to share? Okay, then. So any volunteer number one? Any person would like to share?
Mr. Basamadi,
Yeah.
I can start off by sharing a student in the time being while the others bring theirs up.
Actually, I have a student willing already. So Trevor.
Okay, great. Wow.
Um,
Just on standby.
so Trevor, let me just make you a presenter. So just hold a minute, please. It's a lot of names to go to. Right. So I'm on the T. I'm seeing Trevor. Right. Trevor. Trevor, you are now a presenter, so you can go ahead and share your screen. Okay, thank you very much, Trevor. I think everybody could see that. So Trevor, please read to us.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Trevor. Go ahead.
All right. Before researching my subtopic, I wanted to find out the effects of gender equality. Well, that's supposed to be on people. Since researching my topic and subtopic, my understanding has deepened. Again, 2018 talks about how gender stereotypes can shape how people are allowed to act and what is expected of them. Burnton 2017 examined prior research on gender equality in the workplace and even at home and relating it to birth rates as well as population sizes. Leonard 2019 takes a different approach. While still using research, majority of the article is based on logic, stating problems such as mental issues, increased conflict, and decreasing morale, and how it can lead to things like reduced productivity and legalities. Once I finished my research, I was shocked to realize how huge of a problem gender equality is, and for all sides of the spectrum, and how much work should be happening to solve this.
Okay, thank you very much, Trevor. Okay, so Trevor, you see that first sentence? You could take off that first sentence because we will count it in the word limit. And it isn't really telling us anything about reflection one. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Another thing, so you see, so since researching my topic and subtopic, my understanding has deepened. So that is a general statement. you should tell me what you knew or what you wanted to know. So if you could change that sentence to what you wanted to know, it will be better.
All right, makes sense.
Right? As for the mentioning of the author and the year, that is good. However, it is that is much more suited for the written report. So what I would suggest, you mention the title of the artifact instead.
All right.
Okay? So you would say the title of the artifact, and it says talks about how gender stereotypes can shape how people are allowed to act and what is expected of them. And then the same thing here for the article title, examine prior research on gender inequality in the workplace and even the home, and relating it to birth rates as well as population sizes. Same thing you do again, put the article title, the artifact title takes a different approach. While still using research, majority of the article is based on basic logic, stating problems such as mental issues, increased conflict, and decreasing morale, and how it can lead to things like reduced productivity and legalities. Now, so clearly, Trevor, you have the main ideas there. But one of the things I'm not seeing really is what new you learned. Now, you gave me a sentence. Once I finished my research, I was shocked to realize how huge of a problem gender inequality is for all sides of the spectrum and how much work should be happening to solve this. Now, that is good that you are talking about what you learned, but still, we don't know where you learned that from. So what you need to do is change that to match the actual artifact. So when you mention the artifact, the first artifact, you should put in a statement afterwards about what new did you learn from that. Same thing from the one for Brinton and Leonard. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you just let me see the word count as well? Highlight the document and let me know what you're working with.
149.
Okay, good. So once you take off that first line, you'll be with you, and the last line, you should have about 120 something. And then when you add in the other pieces, you should be within the word limit. I don't see a problem with you really struggling to be within 150.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at this point, let me just ask Mr. Amtahal to add anything.
So in this reflection, I mean, it was really well worded, but it was something like Hassan said, we would see in the written report, the name of the article. We have the author, which is okay, but the name of the article should be there because we would want to be able to go back. I mean, I actually go back and read or review some of your artifacts, right? So the name of the artifact should be there. Basically, I think Hassan, that's it. The word limit, though, I think it's well under the word limit. 150 words reflection one has to be.
He's less than 150 right now, and he has things to take away before he even adds. So he should not have a word limit.
Yeah. So, but what I encourage my students to do, and I don't know if Hassan, if you do it, when they are commenting on each artifact, I ask them to separate it into smaller paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a little easier to read, you know. But I don't know if you do that.
I allow the children to choose whichever one they want. If they want to separate it, and if they want to make a paragraph for every artifact, they can. If they put it together, it's not a problem for me because it's the content we're looking at anyhow. But you do have a very nice point. Yes, Miss Andrews, it is 149. A good way to make it easy to be read by the moderators is to have one paragraph per artifact, so it's easy to go through. Miss Andrews, anything you want to mention before we look at the next one?
think both of you all covered it well. The one thing that struck me was that I was listening for what the student learned
Yes.
and so therefore, if I were to assess this, I would, tell me if I'm correct, I would not have given it a 5.
Yeah, of course, I agree.
Give it a 5?
No, not at all. This is now we understand this is a work in progress. So Trevor, don't feel dejected.
Don't feel confusing.
Oh no, that's why I showed it so I can figure out what was wrong
Right.
with it.
So if I were to get this this
But clearly, the student has a grasp of what he's talking about.
if you give me this as
That's
is,
very
Trevor,
good.
if you give me this as is, I would give a 4.
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
give a 4. It's not. It's too good to get a 3. It's too good to get a 3. So you get a 4 out of 5. So now you know how to get the 5, Trevor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Anything else before we move to someone else, Trevor?
No.
Okay, then great. Anyone else volunteering to read theirs?
I think there's one in the chat.
Yeah. I would prefer someone read theirs. So anyone wanna share their screen and read theirs to get a little more, interaction as opposed to everyone reading. Any volunteer to share theirs? Okay, so we thank hold on, someone is who is this? I can't see. Someone had their mic unmuted. Is that person trying to share?
Sharika Shakes.
Yeah.
She shared
Okay.
hers in
So
the
okay.
chat.
So Sharika, thank you very much. We'll work with that. All right. And yes, I know and I do understand some of you are here today and you would not have reached this far in your project. But again, thanks for coming and I'm sure you will learn and upfront what you should be having. So we have reflection 1. When I started this project, I had both negative and positive feelings about child abuse. The two things I know about child abuse is, you know what? Let me cut and paste this into a Word document. I need to count. Let me do that. Hold a minute, please, everyone. All right.
That was the word count I was asking about.
Yeah. Okay. So copy.
What was her word count?
All right. So let me just pull up a Word document. Okay, I believe everyone should be seeing. Oops. Should be seeing now. Let me just make sure. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. Right, here we go. Right. So everyone should be seeing a little better now. First thing, let's look at word count. So we have a word count of 230. So Sharika, we got a problem. 230 cannot work. We have to have 150. So look what's going to happen, right? So let's see. I think that should probably be the first page, 133. So probably if I go from, I feel it might be here. 176. Oh my, we're still over. So it will actually probably be around here. 141. So right. So Sharika, only your first page will be marked. Your first page will be marked. All right. So you have to work a lot on reducing this 230 words into 150 words. But we're going to read the whole thing and we're going to give you some ideas about what you could keep and what you could take away, okay? So never fear. When I started this project, I had both negative and positive feelings about child abuse. The two things I know about child abuse is: one, child abuse is an act or failure to act on the part of a parent or caretaker. Two, child abuse is pain and suffering. After reading each artifact, it has confirmed my beliefs on child abuse. The feeling that I had before doing this research was brutal. These artifacts extended my views on the issue of child abuse. In the short video clip, it showed that a girl sat there with her phone texting. I assumed her friend when the man went to throw away some garbage and came back and drew her by her hand and started to squeeze her butt. I have learned something new by analyzing the information in Artifact 2. The man said in the song, Uno fi talk up from Uno them things Yaguan. Sorry, Jamaican students. I have learned from the song, if I have seen anything like child abuse, I must report it. The third artifact said, if you see it, hear it, report it. It's the new thing I've learned from Artifact 3. My feelings have changed fully by reading and analyzing the information on effects of child abuse. And there are also another way to prevent child abuse from happening by calling 888 protection 7768328. That's a number in Jamaica, Sharika. All right, Sharika, just some type yes. All right.
Mr. Basaladi, can I say something about this one?
Uh-huh.
I want to applaud another student, like the earlier one, who clearly understands or is very much into this particular topic. And I get a sense of how this impacts us. That definitely comes across. With a little work in terms of getting some of the irrelevant information out, I think this person will do extremely well.
Yeah.
All right. There was just a part where they went into a bit too much details, talking about what actually took place in one of the pieces that could be shortened. And some of the words that were brutal, I found a feeling that another word could have been used. Those would be my comments.
Okay. Great. Anything, Ms. Ramtahal, you want to add?
All right, so I will just reiterate briefly what Anant was saying, as Alexander was saying, because the student wasn't hearing her clearly. What Miss Andrews was saying, she was saying that the student would do very well if she takes out some of the irrelevant or in my case repetitive information, because it was a refreshing topic, and how she words it, she will do very well. What I observed, though, in conjunction with what Miss Alexander said, is that the student spent a lot of time talking about how she felt, right? Going into very much detail, and Hassan, if you just scroll up a bit, please. She spent a lot of time talking about Artifact 1, but Artifact 2 and 3, it was good. So if it is you reduce on how much she talked about how she felt, because she started off talking about how she had negative and positive feelings, and then she identified what are the two things she knows about it. You can scroll up a bit there, Hassan, on the Word
But
document.
this is as high I can get. I don't know if it's a lapse on your end. When
Oh no,
start
I just wanted to go up. I want to see the end of the
oh,
document.
the end. Okay. Right.
Right. So artifact 2 and 3, it was okay in terms of how much time you would spend on it. But right, I was saying that I think that too much words were used on expressing how you felt because you could have pinpointed specifically. I just find it was a bit repetitive at the beginning before you started to talk about artifact 1, and then artifact 1 went on for a little too long. So I don't know, Hassan, what do you think? I just find that it could be
Yes. No, I agree. As both teachers pointed out, this is actually a good reflection. The only problem is that it is too long, Sharika. So what we want you to do is go through this carefully and take away, as was said, things which are being repeated, things which are too long, right? What it will not be done probably in the first instance immediately, but you will have to go through this like 1 or 2 times and you'll get it down to 150. Your content is excellent. You are saying the things that will get you marks, but you are saying too much. So think carefully when you look. So I want you to go sentence by sentence. Do I need this sentence? Can I say the sentence in a shorter way? Can I combine 2 sentences? Have I said this before? If you do this, you're going to have a very good piece of work here. Okay? Right. I'm looking at time, and let's just do one more. We can fit in one more. Can somebody be willing to actually share their screen? It would be faster if we do that. Anyone willing to share their screen? Okay, Alisa Alexander, thank you very much. Let me stop sharing and let me make you a presenter. So you're under A, so it should be easy to find you. Here we go. Okay, Alisa Alexander, you are ready to share. Okay, thank you very much.
Can you hear me?
We are hearing you. So you can go ahead and read.
Okay,
one thing I would ask you, you see where you have the Zoom, could you move it up from 100 to probably about 125? Not there, not there. Next under insert. Right, so yeah. Make it about 125. We should be, I think that's much better. Scroll, yeah, so scroll down a little bit. We should be good there. All right, so go ahead and read, please. Yeah, that's perfect.
I researched this topic as I wanted to understand the effects of child abuse. In the article by Ken Chi-Hing, the minister warns people to look out for signs and explains the burden abuse could have on the social and economic well-being of future generations. I learned about the impact COVID-19 has on children who experience abuse. My visual piece is a poster taken from the Ministry of Social Development. It shows a child with a facial injury. Contact numbers are provided to encourage people to inform the authorities. I understand statistically how prominent child abuse is in the Caribbean. In my auditory piece, What's the Matter Here by 10,000 Maniacs, the reality of abuse cases remaining unreported is ingrained in the lyrics. The song conveys the message that some people do not intervene because it is not their child.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. So, all right, let me just make a couple of comments. Firstly, those who are asking to share, Since some of us have already volunteered, like Dominique and others, Sade, etc. I'll give you all a chance when we go on to the other reflections, okay? Because as you know, obviously we can't hear we can't go through 10:05. We'll be here all night. All right. Um, and I know Miss Ramtahal and Miss Andrews have better things to do than to be on a workshop with me at this hour. So first thing, the first paragraph, we're going good. You researched this. You wanted to understand the effects of child abuse. You should really be stating what you knew about the topic or what you want to know. If you could probably just rephrase that. All right. Say that you knew little about the effects of child abuse, something to that extent. Again, I'm stating the title of the artifact. Okay. When you say look out for signs, if you could mention one sign, it would be nice. I learned about the impact. Now, when you say you learn about the impact of that COVID-19 has on children who experience abuse, it doesn't tell us anything. Okay, so you just need to add a little detail, a little supporting detail to your sentences. Is that clear to you, Alisa?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. The next piece now, I'm concerned about this because this is where we have problems with these posters and so on. Does that poster have a statistic written on it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what you should mention is what the statistic is telling you, because that will give you the mark for the content. So tell me what is the statistic, and mention as well. It also provides contact numbers to inform about child abuse. Okay, because that is the information that you have really found. Right, that is the information that you have really found. The information you found was what is the statistic regarding child abuse, and who do you call to report the abuse? Isn't that so?
Yes, sir.
Right. So you need to phrase that way. In your case, similarly, you have the ideas. It's just the phrasing and the tightening up. And finally, it is a auditory piece. When you say auditory piece, what do you mean?
Song.
A song. Okay, so just state the song because it will save your word in the song instead of auditory piece. The reality, and you can take off by whoever. We don't need to know who said it. So we'll save you some words again. So you can actually add the things that we want to add. So in the song, what's the matter here? The reality of abuse cases remaining unreported is ingrained in the lyrics. The song conveys the message that some people do not intervene because it is not their child. In that case, you should also have a thing here about what did you learn, because you told me what you learned about in the first piece and the second piece, but this third piece, you don't have a statement about what did you learn. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Miss Andrews, you want to add anything else?
None of this time.
Okay. Ms. Ramtahal, anything else to add?
No, Hassan, I think you covered it there.
Okay, great.
Yes, I think you did.
All right then. So thank you very much, Alisa, and the other two willing to share, and those who are sharing on the chat. So we have to move on at this point in time into reflection 2. And reflection 2 may take some time because this reflection 2 is a reflection that a lot of students do rather poorly in since 2018. So let's move along to reflection 2 and take a look at that. Okay, so I believe everybody should be seeing there. So, reflection 2, just like reflection 1, 150 words. All reflections 150 words. You are to choose to discuss one language strategy. Please note, only one. Sometimes students list every language strategy in the artifact. And when they list every language strategy, they waste 20 words already. So they over the word limit from the beginning. You only talk about one. Just one. Anyone you want. And another thing, you may find in your 3 artifacts, they may have the same language strategy. But try your best to select a different one from each. Okay? Try your best to. Now, it may not be possible in some, but even if you could make sure that even if 2 are the same, one is different, at least have that. But try your very best to have 3, to speak about 3 different strategies in the 3 different artifacts. Okay? Because it creates a better reflection. Okay? And it also proves to us, the moderators, that you know more than just examples or statistics or similes or metaphor personification. You know about a variety of language strategies. Note as well, you must include an example. Examples are important. And finally, you must discuss the effectiveness. Very important word, effectiveness. Now, this reflection, those of you who do English B, you should have some idea about these things in your English B essays. Now, if, of course, students, not everybody here is doing English B. If you have a friend in your class who's doing English B, give them ask them to take a look at your reflection too, to give you some ideas, because English B students are taught to write about this in their essay. So, if you are doing English B, this should not be so hard. If you're not, check someone in your school who does English B for a little tip. Okay? Now, what are the steps? First thing, you state your genre and your title. As usual, we want to know what you are talking about. So, because we have to check it back. Because, for example, look what's going to happen. What if you say, let's say the name of the artifact is Boys Don't Cry. And you write that Boys Don't Cry uses simile. I look at Boys Don't Cry. Boys Don't Cry doesn't have a single simile. You're going to lose marks. If you just said the artifact has simile, I don't know what artifact you're going to talk about, so you're going to lose marks again. So you need to state the genre and the title of your artifact. Identify one language technique. Again, we just want one. Give an example of the language technique. Give an example. Just one example. A short example, preferably with no wasting words. And then comment on how effective was the technique in achieving the writer's purpose. You basically are saying, did this make you feel a particular way? Did it convince you of something? Was it entertaining? Was it thought-provoking along that line? Okay? Good. I like to use this flowchart to remind students. Identify, example, explain. IEE. Always remember that reflection too. Identify, example, explain. Identify, example, explain. Once you have that for each of your artifacts, you're good to go. Because you identified the device, you gave me an example of the device, and then you explain the device to me. You're going to get your marks for that. Okay? So let me just stop here if anybody would like to ask a question about what to do for reflection 2. And again, you could unmute yourself, and if you're having problems with that, you could just type your question.
it's me again. I have like the same question from last time. Is it mandatory that we have to put the title of the piece?
It is not mandatory. However, how else will we able to check if the piece that you mentioned has that language technique? Because for example, you could say the poem, and there could be a mix-up in your upload where an article is placed where the poem should be, and we reading up we seeing something different there, and we realize your work not adding up. And that happens, students. It is best, this is the point of the exercise here, to teach you best practices, things to make sure to give your marks. You should state your title. Okay, let me just go back to the previous slide. Someone asked that. I know someone before had a question about reflection too, and I asked them to put it back later on. Whoever that is, can you put it back, please? Okay, I see a question from Sade. If any two artifacts have the same devices, can they both be added together in one? No. Because Sade, even though they may have the same device, the explanation of it and the use of device will be different. Okay? And then when you're giving me an example, one example from one cannot work for the other, so you would have to separate it. Good question, Shadi. Again, there was, I remember, a question was asked about reflection too early on. If you're good, don't bother. If you still want to ask, okay, structural strategies along with literary strategies like rhetorical questions. Okay, firstly, Ajobi, can you tell me what are the structural strategies you're thinking about? Because people just believe some things are structural strategies which really can't work. Let me know some examples, please. Okay, so Ajobi, while you're thinking about that, Thalia, what you could do if your title is long, you use the ellipsis, which is the 3 dots. So start with a couple of words and put 3 dots after that. Okay, Thalia? Okay, so now the thing is, Ajobi, good point. Bulletin. Bulletin is a strategy, but you have to ask yourself this. Was it used deliberately to create an effect, or was it just convenience? Same thing with all caps and bold. So that's the question. If the person did the person use all caps for a purpose, or did they use bold for a purpose? Or is it just how the artifact is? If it's written informally, for example, some people would write an artifact like how they would write how you be texting. Was that deliberately done, or was that just how the article was written? So that is a question you have to ask yourself if you want to talk about something with structure. Does the structural feature, was it deliberate? Did it actually cause the reader to feel a way or learn something? This is why I strongly suggest that students stick to the literary devices, because there's so much things you could say about that. Do students require to pay attention to language that is used to convey meaning? Well, all language convey meaning. Are you referring to like use of emotive language, like in words? Chrisania? Yes, so yes, emotive words are important because the words a writer uses do convey a meaning. Like, for example, if anybody here does the poem or did the poem Dolce et Decorum Est, anybody did that poem? in so far, Dulce et decorum est?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you remember there, the words like stuttering and gargling, those are words that evoke the feeling of choking of the soldier dying from the gas. Right? So that would be actually a good one for emotive language. Enumeration was used. Now the question again, Sasha Lee, was the enumeration used for a purpose? Because I could just list things and put a number by it, and that's just really to make it easy to read. But it is not really to make you feel a particular way. You understand? Like when you're taking notes, you will write your notes in point form. Is it that you have a purpose in writing the notes in point form, except that it's just easier to read? If it's easy to read, that's not really a language strategy. Okay? If the language technique is in the title, that is in and not in the artifact, you can use it. Mahalia, very good question. And that never even came up. Miss Ramtahal, Miss Andrews, anybody ever used an artifact that had a technique in the title? I can't ever remember reading one like that, but that's actually correct.
I can't recall,
Okay, but that's
yeah.
correct. Very good. So yes, if your artifact has the device in the title itself, well, obviously you could use that. That's not a problem. In a way too, you save in words because your title is your example. So you save in words. That's a smart one.
So if we only bold, and I know you said that you don't really like to use bolding wouldn't be like a strong technique to identify, but if they only bold a few words in a sentence.
Good. So
yeah.
the Cyan, right? Who was that? That was who? Just let me know your name. Cyan. Okay, Cyan. So right. That's a very good point. If they bold a few words in a sentence, now that has a purpose. Now, what you would have to write about in your comment on the effectiveness is what words did they bold? Why did they bold that? Okay, so yes, you have a technique there, but remember, it's not just the technique. You have to comment on the effectiveness as well. Okay?
I mean, it has something how it adds to the content of the article.
Yes.
The connotation and the denotation.
Yes. So if the writer highlights words that refer to, like for example, if the writer highlights words that are the emotions of an abused person, now obviously the purpose is to make you feel sympathetic and make you understand the emotions of that abused person. If the writer highlighted, for example, steps in doing something, so that means the writer wants to show you how easy it is to probably overcome bullying or to build self-esteem. So yes, in that case, you can talk about that. So Cyan, you'll just have to be very careful when you are writing to write the effectiveness, elaborate that. Okay? Cyan, everything clear for your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So at this point in time, regarding the question by M. Mackenzie, if you look at any at the first the first video, which is on YouTube, you will get all the information about language techniques that you can use. Okay, I don't want to go over that at this point in time because we want to hear some students at this point in time. So you could just go on the YouTube video and you're going to get all. Okay, and you can even take a picture of the PowerPoint. So on that video. Okay, at this point in time, I'm seeing that we have been here sitting for a little more than an hour. Let us take a little 5-minute break. Please go and stretch your legs, watch away from the computer, and come back in 5 minutes time. And we're gonna look at a sample reflection too, and hear some of your reflections. That okay with everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please
Okay.
go ahead. Yeah, so go ahead and take a break, please. See you in 5 minutes. Okay, good evening again, everyone. Everybody back and ready to continue?
I'm back.
Okay, great. So
Yes,
let's
sir.
get started. Okay, so just a little recap. We discussed what is required for reflection one. We looked at the steps in reflection one. We looked at some people's work and how to improve your reflection one. We went on to what is required in reflection two and what are the steps, which is the slide you have right now. So we're going to take a little time now and let's look at an example of a reflection two. Again, remember, for reflection two, your method is identify, example, and explain. Identify, example, explain. Once you have those three components, you're going to be good to go. So let's take a read of a reflection two. My Space or Yours is a story which was using descriptive language. Personification was used in line 15. But I followed my heart and knew it was leading me in the right direction. The heart is given human abilities and is leading the character to the person that they love. My Dearest Love is a poem which uses end rhymes throughout the 5 verses. Examples of the rhymes are dreams and seems, me and be, understands and hands. These rhymes help with the rhythm and give the poem a musical quality. It makes it easier to recite. The benefits of the long distance relationship is an article which is organized in a problem and solution pattern. Society today is obsessed with sex. A long distance relationship is that it can help strengthen the bond that goes beyond the physical. The writer identifies sex as the problem and gives a solution for those in these types of relationships. I want to point out, remember someone was asking about if your title is, so you sort of use ellipsis here, the 3 dots, like what you see in the multiple choice for English and English. We use the 3 dots ellipsis to show that all the words are not there, but we see the point still. So that's an example there. Let's go back now at the beginning. My Space or Yours is a story which was using descriptive language. Now, sorry, let me just continue. Personification was used in line 5, but I followed my heart and knew it was leading me in the right direction. Now, this student could simply have said, My Space or Yours is a story that uses personification in line 15, but I followed my heart and knew it was leading me in the right direction, and save some words there. We don't need to state it uses descriptive language. Just state the device, which is personification. And we could clearly see, I followed my heart. It was leading me, so we know it is a personification for sure. The heart is given human abilities and is leading the character to the person that they love. Mr. Ramtahal, what do you think about that this description there? That piece here. Miss Andrews?
Okay, hi. I followed my heart and knew it was leading me in the right direction. The heart is given human abilities and is leading the character on to the person that they love. Well, definitely I would say that is personification there, and the person did give some explanation as to why they think it's personification or how it's operating. The earlier pieces, I would need you to scroll back.
We're going to that. We're doing it piece by piece, miss.
Okay, good. Well, good so far. That's my comment.
So right. So this is good. This is nice. So you see, students, this is basically 3 sentences. We see identify, identified personification, example, give an example, then explained that the heart is given the human ability to lead the character, not just lead the character, but to lead the character to the person that they are in love or that they love. That's good. That's nice. Let's take a look at the next piece of it now. My Dearest Love is a poem which uses end rhymes throughout the 5 verses. Examples of rhymes are dreams and seems, me and be, understands and hands. Now, first thing, the person could just say, again, they could have just said, My Dearest Love is a poem which uses end rhymes. For example, so by so, so by so, so by so, to save some words. Because remember, we want to make sure we're in 150. But so far, that's good. These rhymes help with the rhythm and gives the poet a musical quality. It makes it easier to recite. Now, so far, we have identified the end rhyme. We get an example. We got an example. But the explanation here, what about you students? Did this tell you, this student tell you a lot about how the end rhymes really help the writer to make you feel a particular way? Did you get that kind of understanding? Yeah. Mr. Ramtahal, you want to comment?
When I read this, I mean, when I read the one before, it was good, like Miss Alexander said, but this one, you have to remember when you are identifying and giving an example, you have to always tie back that explanation to your subtopic, how it helps send a message to the reader about the subtopic that you choose. So this being easier to recite doesn't lend any insight into the subtopic itself.
Right.
So I think that the person has to go back into their artifact and look for something else, or explain how dreams and seems and me and be can lend to the meaning. So it's just not picking out a language technique. It's all tying it back into the message that you want to give your reader.
Can I make a suggestion here?
Yeah,
Would it be okay for this person? I mean, I found it was good, that last line, as Ms. Tal said, is a little problem there. You must tie back. But could this person, male or female, have said that it gives it a musical quality that makes the message more memorable for whoever is in My Dearest Love?
Right. So that is actually what I was going to add as well.
Yes, and not say easy to recite. It must, as she said, it must tie back to the piece.
Yeah, so you could use the first method, which Ms. Ramtahal was saying, you just choose one that is easier to speak about. But if you want to continue with this, you see this, what you could have what this person could have said. So it gives it helps it gives it a musical quality. Okay. It makes it easier to recite. That's not saying much. So you could say, it is easy to remember something about the message. So what you could say, it makes it easier to remember and say something about the message. And if the student says that, the student will actually get the full marks for that part of it. See this? So you see really here, the student went well. They told us the name of the artifact. They told us the end rhyme. They gave us example, but you see how they did not link the example or the device to the author's purpose. So they should have told us something more like as I was saying, it makes it easier to remember the love the person had, or the feeling of missing the person they love, something to that extent. Okay, something or whatever the poem was talking about. Sorry, the song was sorry, it's a poem. The poem was talking about. Okay, let's go to the last artifact in that reflection too. The benefits of the long distance relationship is an article which is organized in a problem and solution pattern. Society today is obsessed with sex. A long distance relationship is that it can help strengthen the bond that goes beyond the physical. The writer identifies sex as the problem and gives a solution for those in these types of relationships. Now, I like that. It's really good that we had this one, because I know a lot of people were asking about organizational strategies. This is an organizational strategy of problem and solution, just like cause and effect. So it is true. A problem, identify the sex, and what is the solution to it? A long distance relationship. So in this way, we have the identification, problem solution, example, and we do have an explanation that does really help us understand. Mr. Ramtahal, Ms. Andrews, any comments on this one?
I think it was good, Hassan. I like that. I mean, they picked out a text structure pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was quite refreshing to see something different than the literary devices there.
This is the first time I have seen one like this.
Yeah,
So
that's why I made sure and save this example.
Yes. And it is well tied back into the intent that the writer wants to accomplish with their particular piece.
Right. So students, those of you who are using and thinking about using your language, your organizational strategies, take a note of this, how they have it. That's why I kind of say it's a bit tougher to do something like this, but this is well done. Okay? So of course, it's sharing time. So I know some people shared their reflection once. So let me give those people first crack at sharing their reflection too. So let me just scroll up and see. First person. Dominique, are you able to share your screen? Or would you like to share your screen for reflection too? Okay, so Dominic seems to not be around. Let me just ask someone else. What about oh, sorry. Oh, thank you very okay, thanks. That's not a problem. Okay, let me ask then anyone. Anybody who has done a reflection too would like to share theirs? And so I'm sorry about that, Dominic. I kind of forgot that everybody at different stages. So anybody did a reflection too, want to share it? Sure. No. Okay. Well, Trevor, go ahead. I believe you're already a presenter, so you can go ahead and share your screen. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me see if I can fix that for you, Trevor. Let me get back Trevor up here. I don't know if it stops making you a presenter, but I'll fix that now. Trevor, where T got you. Okay, Trevor, you should be able to share now. Okay, Trevor, we are seeing. You could go ahead and read.
All right. Egging 2021 uses rhetorical questions. What makes us? Is it our gender? Is it our society? In order to force the reader to think deeply about what is said, the poem is free verse, further showing the poet's thoughts are random and show his true emotions and feelings. Brinton 2017 used question and answer techniques, as the reporter asked and Brinton answered in depth and with expertise. The piece also uses quite a bit of true dialogue of the reporter and Brinton going back and forth, showing Brinton's true emotions on the subject. Leonard 2019 uses both an argumentative tone and an informative tone to show confidence and force the reader to believe or deeply think about what she says. Leonard also uses metaphors such as they start to walk on eggshells to show the seriousness and the intensity of the situation.
Okay, so Trevor, thank you so much again for sharing. So the same comment about the use of the article's title would remain. Now, in the first part, you said rhetorical question, and you gave us an example, and you said it forces the reader to think deeply, but think deeply about what? So what I think you should do there is say, so take off that part about free verse because you are talking about two language strategies there. You could choose. You have to choose now. Do you want to talk about rhetorical question or you want to talk about free verse? You make that choice. I would suggest you talk about rhetorical question because your response for that is going good so far. So what you should do, you need to tell me, what does it want the reader to think about? That's where you got to tell them. And that will be a good part for the first artifact. For your second artifact, same thing. Replace Brinton 2017 with the artifact's name. So it use question and answer techniques. As the reporter asked and Brinton answered in depth and with expertise. Now, hey, that's the thing. Question and answer is not a technique. That's an interview, isn't it, Trevor?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, an interview is question and answer. It's not a technique. It's not used for a reason. It is how an interview is. So you would need to use an alternative device there. Same thing with true dialogue. Now, you see you use the word true emotions. You could probably speak about emotive language. What words shows Brinton's true emotions about whatever the topic is about? Are those words having particular meaning? So the one in Brinton, you'll have to look at carefully, okay? And
Yes,
because question and answer is not a technique. It's an interview. It has to be in question and answer. Same thing with true dialogue. I don't even know what true dialogue is. Did you research that? You have a definition for true dialogue?
No, I just ran it over with my teacher, sir.
Okay. So don't use that one. Use I think you should look at the emotions part. You might get something there. And also, in case Brinton used, for example, exaggeration or statistics or examples, those are other things that Brinton may have used. If he does that, you could use those as well. Or one of those. And Brinton probably may have even used metaphors. Because as you know, in our normal speech, we use metaphors daily. How much time your parents probably tell you, I'll kill you. And sometimes your parents say, I'll kill you if you do that?
Often.
Right. Do they act? Well, the fact that I'm speaking to you, Trevor, means that your parents haven't carried out that threat. Or as we say in Trinidad, parents say, I tell you that 100 times. Common everyday speech. Anybody else in the Caribbean is hear that from their parents have something like that? I tell you that 100 times or 1,000 times?
Yes, sir.
Right. Again, that's an example of exaggeration. Right? So of course it never literally said that 100 or 1,000 times, but it shows how much they want to reiterate that. So you can look at those things. Okay. Next thing regarding the last one now, we have an argumentative tone and an informative tone. You got to choose one only. So you're using tone now. Good. I need you to select one tone, or I see that you gave me walking on eggshells as a metaphor. You could just use metaphor. Okay? So I think you should go with the metaphor for the last one because you already have an example. And ignore the tone part because you are just giving me strategies, but you are not developing the strategy. Is this clearer to you, Trevor? Miss Andrews, Miss Ramtahal, anything else to add?
I think you covered it there, Hassan.
All right, then.
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay. So you can stop sharing now, Trevor. Thank you so much. I have one from Sade. Okay, so Sade, I have one here. Anybody else would who would like to share their screen? Anybody would like to share their screen?
Please, sir.
Okay, who is this? Remind me of your name, please.
This is Alec.
Alec, Benjamin Bennett? No.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So let me make you a presenter. Thank you for volunteering. Okay, now let's make sure I made you a presenter. Are you able to share now?
No, sir. You didn't make me a presenter.
Okay, hold on a minute. I'm seeing two of your names. So let me let me see. I can fix that. Let me dismiss the first Alec. And you're still hearing me, right, Alec?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. It's fixed now. So you could go ahead.
Okay, good.
Alec, I'm impressed how well organized your work is on Teams. Excellent. Okay, Alec, whenever you're ready, you could read and just make this a little bigger for us, please. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can help you out there. They're supposed to have something to make it bigger. Aha, you're right. You see the thing that look like a magnifying glass. Oh, I think you're getting it done right. Make increase it a little more, please. From probably to 150. Much better.
Let me close the door.
Right. This is great. So go ahead.
Okay. In my first artifact, an article entitled World Nutrition in Sports, a review, expert appeal was used through citation of various sources to make the findings well-researched, therefore increasing accuracy and believability. Burke et al. Is one example. Secondly, the blog entitled The Power of Vitamins in Athletics is introduced with a series of rhetorical questions to cause the reader to think. One example of these rhetorical questions is, what foods pack the most punch for vitamins and minerals, and should I take the supplement? Thirdly, in the picture entitled 10 Things You Need to Know about Sports Nutrition, images were used to complement each of the 10 facts about sports nutrition in the picture. For example, an image of a water bottle accompanies the phrase poor hydration, poor performance.
Okay. So thank you very much, Alec. So let's look at your first artifact. So let me help you save some words, right? You could just say the article, comma, and give the name of it, okay? So you'll save some words there, right? Just say the article, comma, take out entitled, right? So the article, role of nutrition in sports, a review, expert appeal through citation of various sources to make the findings well researched. So, Alex, I believe what you're really saying there is the strategy of reputable sources is what you're talking about there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now here's what. All reputable sources makes the finding well researched. That's a general statement. So what you need to do, the example here of Burke et al. Is just, you're just quoting somebody, they quote. You need to give me an example that shows that an expert was quoted. And how does that make you, the reader, feel about the topic, okay? So for example, if you have a famous, like a doctor stating that 8 bottles of water a day is necessary, that will be expert opinion. How does that make you feel? So it convinces you to start using that practice. Okay? Understand?
Okay. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Now the second part, I see you use rhetorical question. That's good. Only give one example and then explain the rhetorical question. Okay? So you need to, so what you could do, look back at your blog and find one rhetorical question and then explain that. Okay? Also, you don't have to state.
Wait, can I use?
You don't have
Can't I
to.
use one of these here?
You could use one of those, or I would suggest you look at it afterwards and select. If you want to keep one of those, that's not a problem. If you want to choose a new one, that's not a problem. Remember, this is not for you to make your changes now as the final thing. This is just for some ideas for you to actually do on your own time. So in the second blog there, you could just choose one rhetorical question. And then you need to talk about the effectiveness of it because you didn't do that in that second one. Also, you don't need to say a series of rhetorical questions to cause the reader to think, because that is what a rhetorical question will do. You kind of give them the definition. So you can take off that and save words. Finally, in your third artifact, which is a picture, you talk about the use of images. And you gave an example. Very good. What you didn't do is let me know how effective was that image. Because you are using, so the image next to the text is in fact a strategy. But you did not go on to explain effectiveness. So, Alec, all you got to do is really work on your effectiveness, really. The sentence about effectiveness. You have any questions? Mr. Amtahal, Miss
I think I don't think I have any questions.
Okay, could you just share it back a little bit? Let Mr. Amtahal and Miss Andrews take a look again. Mr. Amtahal, Miss Andrews, you could just give any comments you desire.
Hassan, it looks good. You actually corrected that.
Is there any way you can make it larger? It's a little difficult for me to read. I was trying to listen to him, and some of the words were lost. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Andrews, anything on it?
1 second.
Sure, no problem. Take your time, miss.
Okay, for the first piece, as you said, using the IEE strategy, there is not much of an example. Oh, screen gone.
It's back up now.
Okay, I have closed, so just give it a minute to come back up on my screen. All right, I'm now seeing it. All right, so he identified, as you mentioned, what he's trying to say there. Okay, and he does not give an example. Just now. Good, so the example part, I thought you could just give a little clip out of it. Secondly, the blogging title, The Power of Bitcoin. Let's introduce with a rhetorical question to cause you to think. One example of a rhetorical question is that and that. So rhetorical question, yes, advice. He identifies, he gives an example. I thought his explanation could have been a bit stronger. Thirdly, the picture entitled 10 Things You Need to Know About Sports Nutrition images we use to complement each of the 10 facts about sports nutrition in the picture. For example, an image of water bottle accompanies the phrase poor hydration and poor performance. Now, I would really be open to your comment on these images as devices. So he does in fact give an example. His explanation for it is that it's need to complement each other. And again, I find that the explanation could be a bit stronger. Those are my comments.
Yes, agreed. And this is why students, you know, I know you've reached a very advanced stage in your SBA. Some of you, you see how it's a bit difficult when you're using those things about images. Is where it's kind of difficult to score the mark, and we want you to score the mark, and we want you to get full scores. So, um, you know, when you're using things like images, make sure that you have a language strategy that is easy to discuss, right? Right? How can it be this developed? That's an issue. All right, so just be very careful with that. But this is okay. So you just have something. So if you just do those same things that that was said, you're on a far better track that you are. You have you're in every piece that you spoke about. You have a start. You have an example. You have a clear strategy. You have a start of an explanation. You just have to fix those to make it get the 4 and the 5 marks. Okay, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So that's a good one. So you see, everyone, you realize that it's not major changes have to be made. Everybody now is basically at the stage of moving towards getting full marks. Everybody passed the stage of passing. We are now trying to get the 5 marks now. So that's good. So Alec, you could stop sharing, please. Let me just do the last one. Ooh, okay then. All right, so at this point, let's go to the last reflection then. Let's go to the last reflection. Um, in fact, you know what? Right. What I'll do, since Shadi volunteered hers, let me just copy and paste hers and show you. All right, so let's look at that.
While you're copying and pasting, so can I make a comment here
Sure,
to all the students? Because some of the students may be quite advanced and some persons may not have been, probably hasn't started to work on their SBAs yet. But I really encourage you to vary the pieces that you choose, okay? Try to ensure that, as Sue said, if you're choosing a picture, choose something with a caption that you can identify a language device in easily. Try not to have 3 articles. I always encourage my students to ensure that you have a poem. And not just any poem, a poem with a language device that you can identify and comment on its effectiveness. Okay? Varying it is important. And just the choice of words that you use to express your piece could be the difference between a 5 and a 4. So do let your teachers look it over and give you the okay. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Miss. Again, people note that. So, Shade, well, it's 181, so we have this is better than the 230, so you're going good here. Let's take a look and see what's going on. The online article, benefits of science, factual studies, and use of examples are found to back the information shown. In lines 1 and 2, the article states that science builds knowledge, which is used to emphasize the writer's point by providing evidence to support it. For every bullet, an example was used to prove the information stated. So let me just stop there. Now, this is the same thing. So, Shade, you gave me 2 devices. So you choose if you want to talk about studies or you want to talk about examples. So remember, identify, you're choosing one only. Giving me an example of factual studies, then give me the example of the example. So I want you to actually quote an example, please. And then for that example, Shadi, you explain how does it prove the writer's point or how does it make the reader feel. Okay, let's move on to the next one you spoke about. The online article, benefits of science education in school, uses factual studies, use of example, and list of points to support their piece. Now, Shade, you can't use all 3, you got to choose one. The list of points were bolded in a sense where it can catch the reader's attention quicker. It's hard to think of an aspect of life that doesn't lean on science, something that is used to express facts about science. So what you have here, Shade, for the second one, benefits of science education, you need to determine which strategy you want to use. Because you list 3, you give my example of a different one and you didn't explain any. So this is where, stick to one. Keep it simple, right? And don't worry, Shade, you will have the words if you just stick to one. Finally, you have the YouTube video presented short information on the most important parts. In the video, the creator uses anecdotes to present their examples. Okay, so anecdotes and example, those are 2 different strategies again. So you need to, and you talk about rhetorical questions now. So Shade, same thing. Just choose one. Choose either anecdote, example, rhetorical questions. And then you give my example rhetorical question. So, right, you need to probably try rhetorical question, or anecdotes are very interesting as well. You could probably do that. Okay, so Shade, in this case, your major problem is that one, you need to only stick to one language strategy because you are over the word limit. So this will not pass because it's over the word limit. So you need to only use one strategy, give an example of the strategy, and then speak about how does that strategy make the reader feel. Okay? How does that strategy make the reader feel or convince the reader of anything? Okay? Ms. Andrews, Mr. Rampel, anything else that could be any other advice regarding this?
No, Shadi and I were speaking frankly about that, and
Okay.
you have just reiterated all the points.
Okay, great. All right, so let us now head back to the presentation. So again, I know that, you know, don't worry about that. Just now, let me, I'll stop sharing this before I go to the next thing. At this point in time, again, let me just remind you of our normal procedure. We have our, what you call this thing? Our feedback form, and let me just put it up one time so you can open it in another tab and fill it out after before you leave. So that's there. So let's go straight now back to our work now of reflection 3. Reflection 3, here we go. Great. We spoke about reflection 2. Let's go to reflection 3. Now remember with reflection 3, again, students, this is the reflections that this doesn't speak about any of your artifacts. This is just your experience now. So reflection 1 and 2, you have to talk about artifacts. Reflection 3 is nothing to do with your artifacts. Reflection 3 is all you. So in reflection 3, you could speak about your experience working in a group. You can speak about the impact of researching the topic on you, the student, or you can speak about both. Both the experience working in a group and impact of researching the topic on a student. So you have that. I would suggest you do both. So, just as before, 150 words, anything over, not reading it. It is not about the artifacts, it is about your experience. So do not make the mistake about talking about any artifact in that reflection 3. And remember, elaborate on your experience. Don't just say something like, well, working in the group was good. I learned a lot about this. I feel happy researching the topic. That doesn't tell us anything. That doesn't, that's like what, when you come home from school and your parents ask you, well, so how was school? And they say, just good. And they say, so what do you mean by good? What was good about it? And they want a whole set of questions. Pretend it's like that. So you need to elaborate. One of the things we found this year, which was really odd, is that many students did not even reach 150 words in their reflection. So they just wrote about 100, so they were not getting the full score. Because just like reflection 1, we normally, over history, a lot of students get full 5 in reflection 3. I was surprised this year that so many students got like 3 in reflection 3. Normally people getting 4 and 5 easily. This year people were not elaborating, so don't fall into that trap for us in 2022 and 2023. So I'm going to give you now a set of questions you can answer. Now let me tell you now, there are more than 10 questions here. You will never be able to answer all 10 and be within 150. You choose out of the 11, or I think it's 11. Out of the 11, about 5 that you find interesting and you want to talk about. You should be good with 5. You could go and add a 6th one if you're shorter words. But do not think you have to answer every single question I'm going to list here as a guiding question. No way at all. If you were to answer all, you probably might have about 300 words. So first thing, what did you learn about the topic? Number 2, how did the research help you in society or in academics? And when we say society, like how did it make you feel? Did it cause you to change your opinion about something? Or did it prove your opinion about something? What was your experience working in a group? Was the group work challenging or beneficial? Explain why. How did you cope with any challenges in the group? What did you do? So you have challenges such as, for example, many of you are at home. doing virtual school. That's a challenge because you're not meeting your friends to sit down and write and talk about the SBA and do the written report. Another problem might be connectivity. You may not have a steady internet supply. Or another challenge could be it was difficult to collaborate when everybody is not physically together, because sometimes it's easy to talk as a group when you're there, but if you're online, it's difficult to. Those are challenges you could talk about. Were the students able to help each other? Because sometimes some people in a group may have a little difficulty. How did the group overcome that? How did the experience in the group help you grow? So things like, did it make you more understanding of others, or did it make you speak in front of a group where you were not accustomed doing that? Things like that. Were you able to read or assess or to find information about your topic? Was it easy or hard to find information about your topic? Why was it like that? Because, for example, you might find a topic might be very interesting, but there's very little information on it. For example, I have a student in my lessons. He is doing the benefits of online gaming. Now he's getting some articles and so on, but it's kind of difficult for him to get things beside articles. That's a challenge he faced. Did your writing improve, or your self-discipline, or your vocabulary, or your public speaking improve? So any of those things that you could use here, you could include. Any of those things. As I said, you will not be able to write about all 11. Just choose about 5 or 6 and write about those. Once you do that, you're sure to get a very good score for the reflection 3. Okay? Any questions about what we expect for reflection 3 before we look at an example?
I have a question.
About those skills that we were using, like when we were talking about those skills that we expect to gain from doing the SBA. Can you also write your reflection 3 about those skills?
You cannot write about those skills. When you say you want to write about the skills, what do you mean?
Like how I develop my skills, or how doing the SBA helped me to like those skills.
You can mention it, but it should not be a major thing. So yes, okay. You could mention it. You could mention it in a couple of sentences. I'm seeing Kiara had a question. A question. Go ahead, please. Kiara, were you trying to speak?
Oh yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Sorry, Kiara, that's you. I'm sorry. So I mean, Alec, did you have a question then? I think you unmuted yourself.
Never mind. I don't have the question anymore.
Okay, no problem. Right. So let's take a look at an example now. So we have one here. Sorry. I believe someone wanted to go back. That was who? Syria, is this, can I move ahead, or you still writing? Okay, thank you. All right, let's move along. Okay, so here we have a sample. This SBA helps me appreciate the challenges people face to maintain their relationship, and also ways in which to overcome them. I learned that people will go out of their way for their relationship to last. Long distance relationship occurs when you least expect it, and may happen for good or bad reasons. Work, a court matter, or even illness are reasons why they separate. My experience working with group members was challenging. It was difficult at the beginning, since 2 of our group members had challenges getting a device. Eventually, the group was able to meet and resolve the problem. Right? It was difficult at the beginning since 2 of our group members had challenges getting a device. Eventually, the group was able to meet and resolve the problems which existed. Working in a group taught me to be patient and to work as part of a group, ensuring that we kept on track in terms of our deadlines, giving each other all necessary reminders to complete it. My ability to summarize has improved through our discussion while organizing the SBA. So here, students, you realize that there was no mention of any of the artifacts. It was just the students' understanding. It was just about the students' experience. And I think everybody here probably thinking now, well, that's not hard to do. It's rather easy for me to do that. Has anyone reached as far as reflection 3 and would like to share theirs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who is this?
Me, sir.
Okay, so okay.
It's Janelle.
Okay, so Janelle, can you go ahead first, please? Okay, in fact, hold on. Sorry, okay, wait, hold on a minute, right? Since Janelle and Alec went ahead, I have somebody who actually posted theirs. Let me go with that one first, okay? So
yes, sir.
Actually, I'm seeing more than one person posting that. Okay. All right, so let me just go with this then. So let me find this back. There we go. Right. Word document. Right. Great. Here we go. So, first thing, I have 159 words. So, Amika, you got to take away 10 words for me, please. Or rather 9. So, I'm sure that'll be easy for you to do. The theme chosen by my group was abortion. Carrying out my research on my topic, an investigation into medical and surgical abortion and the advantages and disadvantages of each on the female. Wow, that's a long topic. Has both been informative and challenging. Prior to this project, I despised the English language. However, due to my interaction with the various applications of English in the real world, I have developed an appreciation for the subject. This project has helped me with English skills such as analyzing, summary writing, and vocabulary skills. Working with my group members was also very exciting and advantageous. I have learned to work in groups better, which was a challenge prior to the research. By listening to their topics and in my personal exploration, I broadened my knowledge of my individual topic, which made me aware about the positive and negative effects of abortion. In addition, this project has given me sufficient practice for future research and presentation skills. At this point in time, I will turn you over to Ms. Andrews and Ms. Ramtahal for some comments.
I found that this was excellent, except that she went over the limit, and I found that this sentence could have been either adjusted, shortened, or left out entirely and just recraft. But I found it was an excellent reflection.
I quite agree with Anna. And listening to Hassan read it, and now I'm looking at it actually for myself. I think it was well done. It captured me. And Annette, yes, something with the beginning there, that first extremely long sentence there needs to be shortened, adjusted. Well, Hassan, yeah, I think it was good. I would give this a 5.
Yes,
I would give this a 5.
Once it is adjusted within the word limit, yes.
Yeah, yes, nine words over. So if you adjust the first sentence, you would be within the word limit.
Another thing I want to point out, colleagues, is even if we don't count the last 9 words, which might be this line here, it will still get
Still
5.
a 5.
It's still going to get 5.
Yeah, it's still gonna get 5, yeah.
So very good work. You have, Amika, you have clearly spoken about your development as an English student. You spoke about your personal development. You talk about skills you learn. You talked about your experience in the group. You talk about how you dealt with issues in the group. That's good. All right.
I thought it was thorough, and I love how you hated English, and you've now come to love the subject. Welcome to the club, Amika.
And this is refreshing, because what we saw for SBA when we were moderating, there were a few sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the interest of time, I actually got someone else to put up there. So let's just go on to the second one, and share. So I'm sharing now from Ajobi Mackenzie. So Ajobi, I'm going to put up your stuff now. Here we go. So first thing, we are 151 words. So just take out 1 word, please. Of course, let's see how it looks overall. I believe that the process of doing this research has positively impacted my life as a language student. It has improved my analytical skills, and I am better able to analyze various language techniques used by writers. This project has made me more aware and helped me to understand that abortion is a serious social issue which I can view from different perspectives, and that women choose to have abortions for various reasons and life circumstances. The most popular being wanting to continue their studies and not being able to afford a child. I now realize that majority of the women who experience abortion have serious regrets. I have experienced personal growth as I have enhanced my collaborative, teamwork, and time management skills. Working in a group has exceedingly helped me to be more confident, improved my self-discipline, and my self-efficacy. Overall, this has been a worthwhile experience. Back over to you, Ms. Ramtahal and Ms. Andrews.
Beautiful, beautiful, with one little exception. Somewhere he was giving an example. I'm trying to go back to it. I cannot read what you have there, Mr. Basra. It's too small, but I'm glad that he posted it in the chat. So let me just go to that particular sentence. It was going so marvelous. I was there clapping on this side, and then I paused when he came to that sentence. Just put it in. Right. So I taught around this area where he said women choose to have abortions for various reasons and life circumstances. Could have ended right there and not get the most popular being wanting to continue their studies. That's just me. But I found that it was an excellent piece in that he explored it on different levels. I love the fact of him being able to appreciate the various perspectives on his particular issue. Those are my comments.
It was well done. It was well done, even though he had that 1 word over. I think that I would give him 5, because he learned, he developed his English skills, he learned something, he developed personally. All right. And he expressed how he felt during the process, and he talked about his topic. So it was refreshing and engaging. It was good. 5 marks. I would give him 5 marks.
And well crafted as well, language wise.
Yes, I fully agree with that. Students who shared their reflection tree, if you have 3 moderators telling you you're going to get a 5 there, I think you could feel good about yourself today. Okay, so this has now brought us to the end of our session for tonight.
Excuse me, sir.
So again, before I go through any little questions, final questions, the recording of this will be placed or will be uploaded on YouTube and shared on the Trinbago English class page on Facebook. I again will appreciate if you can fill out the brief survey. All right. If you could do that, that will be much appreciated. Let me just post it back on the chat for you so we could know what we could do well or what we're not doing well. Okay, for some reason I'm not able to copy and paste. Just a minute. Right, here we go. That's done. Right, so again, it's on the chat. So students, again, thank you for coming. Again, so it can be, the recording will be put up sometime tonight or tomorrow. You could go on the normal Facebook page and get it. You can get it on YouTube. And of course, you could email to register for our final session, which will be happening in 2 weeks' time. So that final session, the date of it will be on November 14th. So November 14th, 1-4, we'll have our final session on writing the group written report. Now, one of the things I want to suggest to you, I know that many of you may not have started your group written report. I would suggest, because it is the group written report, that you make sure and get everybody in your group to attend the session with you, because it's a group activity in the SBA. So if you are alone here and you alone know what's going on and they have some other weird idea, you're going to actually find yourself in a problem where you are telling them the correct thing and they have some other strange idea which will cost you marks. So get them together, have all of you together here on the session, so everybody will be on the same page when you are writing your group written report. Okay, that's just a suggestion for next week. You can start emailing me from now for the link for next 2 weeks time. Again, please try to avoid emailing me Sunday for it, because I may not be home and just be coming to do the presentation and will not be able to send and respond to the emails quickly. So any little questions before we close off? You can type it in the chat or ask. Okay, so again, I do ask you to fill out the little survey. Stay safe, stay well, keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing you on the 14th of November for our final part of our student SBA series. So again, feel free, join us. Feel free to share your written reports next week. Okay? So, final chance for any questions before we close off?
Sir.
Okay, then.
Sir.
Sorry, yes, please go ahead.
I would have wanted to share my reflections with you, but I guess we're ending.
Yeah, well, I am sorry. I am sorry that everybody can't share because, as I said, we'll be here all night. Okay? But,
okay.
Remember, just look at the video again and you will know what to do. Okay? That's the nice thing about the video.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, same to you.